I don't know, I asked him, but he wouldn't say. It was weird, he kept saying, all will be revealed, all will be revealed.
Facing unrelenting criticism for what was being seen by many as an illegal war in Iraq, Vice President Dick Cheney travelled to Los Angeles on January the 14th, 2004, where he gave a speech designed to invigorate declining support for his war on terror. In Los Angeles, Mr. Cheney was met by record numbers of anti-war protesters. One of them would be Brandon's mentor, filmmaker Jude Kemper.
Jude disguised himself as a Secret Service agent. He strapped on one of these hidden internet cameras. He broke into the hotel in Century City where Dick Cheney was set to give a speech later that day. He made it all the way up to the penthouse suite, to the penthouse floor, where he was arrested by U.S. Secret Service agents. The agents brought him into a room, they questioned him, and they beat him. They beat him pretty bad. I mean, so bad that his camera died.
But there is no record of Jude Kemper's arrest. The FBI and the Secret Service claim that no such arrest was ever made.
That's because they're trying to cover this up. Jude Kemper had very specific information about Vice President Dick Cheney. Information that the government doesn't want the world to see.
Okay, now back to the footage. Jude's camera captured it, but how did Brandon get it?
Brandon's computer at his house in Malibu was set up with the software to receive the signal.
To better understand how Jude Kemper's hidden camera could have survived without he himself resurfacing, we sought the advice of an expert in internet camera technology. Explain to me how these web cameras work.
What it was a camera that's the size of a button, like on your shirt. And we would put that button, that camera, in a place that would look natural. And then utilizing the same technology that your cell phone uses enables anything seen by this camera to be picked up by your computer on the internet.
In an effort to ascertain the legitimacy of the footage, I spoke with retired Secret Service agent Lem Braggs. Mr. Braggs has first-hand knowledge of presidential detail, having been on the team protecting President Reagan the day he was shot. Mr. Braggs, in your opinion, is this footage real?
There are several things we have to look at in an effort to verify the accuracy of this footage. First, the Situation Room. That does follow United States Secret Service protocol. After a suspect's arrested, he's detained on the premises while the Vice President's removed. And as far as I can tell, what I saw in that footage, that room, is accurate as far as in terms of equipment.
There is something very curious about these images. Jude Kemper gains access to the hotel by what appears to be underground tunnels. What do you know about these tunnels?
I'm reluctant to talk about the tunnels. There's a tunneling system underneath the Century Plaza Hotel. As a matter of fact, there are tunnels that crisscross the whole of the United States.
For what purpose?
The transportation and protection of dignitaries, politicians, presidents, vice presidents, chiefs of staff, diplomats.
But even if Jude Kemper had knowledge of these tunnels, it wouldn't exactly be easy for him to access them, now would it?
There's absolutely no way. The tunneling systems in our country are impossible to penetrate. They're as difficult to access as the Oval Office.
So then you're saying that another Secret Service agent, perhaps a mole, let Jude Kemper pass?
That'd be the only way.
After he had watched Secret Service agents assaulting his friend, Brandon copied the footage to a DVD disc and brought it in to the Los Angeles Police Department. Truth Seeker TV has confirmed that Brandon spoke with a police detective named Scott Purcell. Purcell took down Brandon's statement and promised that he would get back to him. But he never did. Detective Purcell refused us the opportunity to interview him for this report. What did Brandon do after the police failed to investigate?
He went to the Secret Service. He went to the FBI. But they all ignored him. They refused to do anything. And that's when he started writing letters. And he wrote a lot of letters. I mean, he wrote to Congress, he wrote to his senators. I think he even wrote a letter to the president. But nothing happened. Everyone was ignoring him.
According to Mr. X, after weeks of trying to get both local authorities and the federal government to help him get justice for his friend, Brandon made a decision that would prove to be fatal. He decided to go looking for Jude on his own. So Brandon goes on his search for Jude, and he hires you to videotape him while he investigates. Why film this?
Because he had a sense that he was getting in over his head and he wanted it documented in case something went wrong, which it did.
Do you regret getting involved in Brandon's investigation?
Lady, I don't have a home anymore. What do you think?
Where's the first place you went on your investigation?
We went to Detective Scott Purcell's house. Now, this is the detective that Brandon originally filed the missing persons report with. The guy that had been ignoring Brandon's phone calls. Is this him?
It is him.
How did you find out where he lived?
If you have enough money, you can find out where anybody lives.
Detective Purcell, Brandon Corey. We've met before. I'm now doing a documentary about my friend Jude Kemper's abduction.
What are you doing here?
I wanted to ask you a few questions about the case.
Who's he?
That's He's, we're doing a
And
documentary.
take off.
He's with me.
No, I don't care. Get him off my property. Now.
I just wanted to ask
Get him
you a
off
few-
my property.
Go across the street.
Maybe you didn't understand me. I said get off my property.
Go on. Go across the street.
Turn that thing off.
Listen, turn it off. I just wanted to ask you a few questions. I haven't heard
What the
from
hell do
you
you
in 2
think
months.
you're doing? What do you... This is my house, okay? This is where I live with my family. My wife is in there. My children are in there. Now, I got to explain to them why I got somebody coming over here with a cameraman to my property.
I understand. Listen, I'm sorry.
You know where I work? You could have contacted me there.
I left you like 30, 40 messages over the last 2 months. A friend of mine's been abducted.
Yeah, I understand that.
And what's happening with the case? I'm just trying to find out. I'm not trying to intrude here. I mean, I respect that, but I need to know what's happening.
I'm only going to say this once. I'm not going to answer any of your questions. I'm not on the case anymore. That's it.
Well, who's on the case?
I told you, I'm not going to answer any more of your questions. I'm not working the case anymore.
So that's where our tax dollars go, huh? Jesus Christ. You've got to have some kind of information. Help me here. Something, a lead.
I'm not answering
Who can I
any
talk to?
other questions. Off.
But who?
Get off.
Jesus Christ.
It confirmed exactly what we thought, that the United States government had gotten to Detective Purcell and stopped him from investigating.
After exhausting all official channels, Brandon turns to the private sector by hiring this private investigator.
Brandon had provided this private investigator with all kinds of information on Jude, an old driver's license, an old social security card, anything that we could get our hands on. And we thought, this is probably going to get us somewhere in this case. But this is when things started to get really, really weird.
I hope you didn't loan this guy any money. It looks like a scam. All the documents you gave to me look really good on their face, but when we go to check them out, there is no Jude Kemper.
What do you mean there's no Jude Kemper?
Well, it's probably one of the best phony identities I've ever seen, but according to my records, he doesn't exist.
This is a friend of mine. We've known each other for 6 years. You've got his phone bill. You got his phone bill. You got his property deed. He owns his house.
Well, as far as property goes, it's owned by a mortgage company in Los Angeles. But at the